Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of
Lil Pop Stars Podcast.
Podcast.
In this episode, we're going to be talking to superflirt about his music and his new EP.
Yes.
I don't wanna talk right now or ever. Got your fake ID and you sweat it. Driving 30 minutes makes regret taste better.
Yeah, so I'm super flirt. My name's Noah though. And I make indie pop music and I have been recording and putting out music since I was in high school, originally just like on SoundCloud and like very singer-songwriter, like I would record on GarageBand like singing and guitar and upload it the same day and it would sound like shit. But I had one song that like randomly got like a few thousand plays and I was like, how did this happen? This is crazy. So I just kind of kept going with it. And then in college started releasing on Spotify and everything. Originally under an artist named just like Noah with a little asterisk symbol, which was incredibly hard for people to find. So I eventually switched over to the Super Flirt project. And that was just a big step up for me in a lot of ways, just like visually, world building wise. Like I actually had like a identity as an artist that I wanted to communicate and show, and the music was just a lot better quality at that point. I put out my first song called Sober.
I'll stay sober till I'm older.
I was working with a little label at the time, and that song like just somehow got onto Spotify's New Music Friday and like started streaming really well, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy for a first song. And then since then I've like stopped working with that label and I'm just completely independent now. I just do everything. Like I don't even have a manager right now, so I just do everything myself. That first song of mine did the best, and then since then it's kind of been like a slow build back up kind of thing. And I'm just really grateful for like the people that are have found my music in the last couple of years and like are like committed to listening to it and like coming to shows and stuff, because I think if I didn't have that, it's hard not to feel like this like high of like, oh my God, I'm on a Spotify playlist and like people all over the world can hear this song, and then to like not have as much luck with playlisting and streaming and stuff like that since then, like trusting that things will kind of come back up to that, and already are, and people are responding well to the music. That's all I can really ask for. And I have my second project called Big Man. I started working on that even before last February when I put my last project out. So it's been a long time. And my first project was largely like each song was produced by a different person. I was working with a lot of different people. This project was almost entirely me, which was very hard but very rewarding. Yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about me. I'm an artist. I also produce and write a little bit for other people right now, mostly just like friends and stuff. But my music is very much me. I kind of like just play all the instruments and do a lot of the producing. So I just the super flirt world, the super flirt artist thing is very much me, which I think
Nice.
grateful to be at that point, because I think for a while I didn't really know what I was doing and I was just working with whoever and I was like, I don't know what I want to sound like, but I think I've kind of landed there, especially with this project. But yeah.
Nice.
So before we dive into some questions about your music, we're just gonna do a thing we
Yeah.
call Little Pop Quiz, where it's just you just answer the questions as fast as you can.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, what is your favorite instrument?
Drums.
What is your favorite candy?
Anything that's chocolate, just like dark chocolate.
Yes.
Where would be your dream venue to play?
Dream, maybe like Red Rocks, or like, I mean, if we're being ambitious, like Madison Square Garden.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where is your favorite vacation spot?
I really like Sedona. Um, it's like a quick, like I live in LA and it's like a quick an hour and a half flight for me, and it's just like it's like Red Rocks and hikes and sitting by the pool, and I just love going there. It's very comfortable to me. I grew up going there, so
Mhm. And what is your favorite music genre?
the last like week or so I've been listening to Julia Wolf's new album, and it's like kind of a nice blend of like hyper pop and like kind of like emo and like Midwest emo and pop, and like I really like that right now. At least right now, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the vibe that I like.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the pop quiz is
Yes.
over.
Okay,
Uh,
sweet. I did okay, I hope.
so I wanted to talk like a little bit about your visuals, and I think it's interesting because like we're in Florida, and
Oh
even
wow.
there's something about, even though I mean California and Florida in some ways have similar vibes, and kind of with your first EP, a lot of the like pool and
Yeah.
colorful visuals, but it still like very much gives off California vibes, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Did that aesthetic kind of come naturally, or
Mhm.
is that something that you took a lot of time to figure out?
Yeah. I mean, both. Like for a long time, like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted my music to really sound like. I didn't really know what visual identity I wanted to put out. I'd spent a long time thinking about it and trying different things, but I think what kind of at the end of it kind of happened naturally. Um, for my first song that I put out, Sober, that cover art was shot by my friend Roy, and he's just like super talented. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's like the one where I'm wearing like a yellow shirt and it's like from behind and I'm holding the balloons and it's like the sky. When we did that shoot, it was his idea for me to like stand up on a ladder and he was kind of underneath me and hit the balloons were his idea. And once we had that photo and I was like, this is the cover art for the first single, I think everything started to make sense. And I was like, okay, this feels like I finally found visually how I want things to look. And I'm gonna kind of build things around this vibe. And
Mhm.
also just living in San Diego, like it's a very like suburban Southern California, like sunny, like blue skies, like that's kind of it came naturally because I was there. I've only ever done one music video so far for that song Sober, and it was shot by my friends that went to San Diego State with me. They're really talented. They have like a production company called No Storage Productions, and they're really talented. But it was all just around like my neighborhood in San Diego, like my house and the palm trees, and like it just all kind of started to make sense and fit. And then when I moved up to LA, I just like found people that I thought could help me like stay within that world. I started working with this person, SJ Spring, who's like again super talented, like shoots a lot of stuff on film on like Kodak Gold, which is like it just makes that kind of film makes everything look like really golden, and she uses like a light reflector that makes it look more golden. Like it's just kind of like our vibes kind of really meshed. So that's what I would say like the super flirt visual identity is like
Mhm.
suburban summer, Southern California, like even Florida, like that kind of that's just always been my favorite weather. I grew up in New Jersey and like that's not
Yeah.
obviously in the summer, yeah, but in the winter, obviously not. But I always wanted to live out here. I was always drawn to that kind of energy. I think what's cool about it is like you can be living in like New York and be like it's like the dead of winter and like you're miserable and like you don't want to go outside, but then like you can kind of step into this visual world within the music that's like pretending that you're on vacation almost. Like
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool. The Florida thing is interesting too because I feel like for at least this project, a lot of what I wanted to kind of emulate was almost like sort of the visuals that Dominic Fike did for one of his last albums. I think it was Sunburn or something. But
Okay.
he's from Florida and he shot a bunch of those visuals in Florida.
Oh, really?
The there was a music video he did called for that song called Dancing in the Courthouse, and it's all just like Florida, and there's one shot where he's like submerged in a pool and there's people like diving in behind him. It's really cool. And just like close-up shots of like popsicles like dripping. Like it's very Florida.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there is definitely a similar vibe there. I kind of stumbled upon this visual identity and then just now I naturally try and just like solidify that and exist within that world when I do cover art and stuff. But I put a lot of time into like I'm very involved in like the creative direction aspect of like my photos and videos and everything. Like now my roommate does my videos, which is great and very convenient. And I kind of take on that director role of like this is what I want. I want to do this specific thing with this specific prop. And then she films, helps me film it. And I don't know, I put a lot of thought into that stuff. I think it's important. I think like arguably even more important than the music is like that branding, world building side of things. Cause like I've saved songs before that I just thought the cover art was cool and maybe the song sucks, but like like I mean not that like yeah, but not to be mean or whatever, but just like maybe the song wasn't for me, but I really liked the photo and that caused me to save the song anyway. I
Hmm.
just think it's really important and I think it's cool that you guys like kind of picked up on that because that's something that I put a considerable amount of time into.
Yeah, definitely. And like with your new EP, is that like, are you still kind of going with that same
Yeah.
the super
Um,
art, um
yeah. I mean,
vibe?
you can kind of see it in the singles I've released this year. Like Armstrong was a little bit different because that was just a film photo that my friend took.
Mhm.
But the rest of the singles, so Crybaby, Earthquake, and Kissing My Friends, you can kind of see like sort of the vibe. Usually what I do is I shoot all the like photos for a project on the same day
Hmm.
Mhm.
in kind of the same spot. So that's what I did with my friend Smiles.
Love it.
And when it comes to the music itself, how would you say this new EP differs from the other ones?
I would say my first EP was kind of like just a collection of songs, like whatever I made that year,
Mhm.
which I think was really cool. And they were all like upbeat songs, like everything was happy. This EP, I would say, is more of like things fit together a little bit more.
Hmm.
It's a little bit more of like a journey. When I used to make projects, like it very much was like every song transitioned into the next and everything makes sense and it's like a story and like this isn't fully that, but it's closer to that than the last project was. There's more emotion in it, I think, than the first project. I think the first project had the emotion maybe in the lyrics, but I think in the production side of things, it's a little bit more raw, it's a little bit more DIY because I did so much of it myself.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's also way more me. So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like looking through
Yeah.
your Instagram and I just thought this, what you said about kissing my friends was
Mhm.
interesting. You said like in the caption, the obviously snarky lyrics cover up the hurt I was feeling. I guess how do you like go from a lyric you initially write and then like how does that develop the way like it sounds? With your songs, I mean, some of them may sound a little happier than they are, but then
Yeah.
like the lyrics are quite sad. So I guess how does the
Yeah.
process kind of work?
Yeah. I mean, when I started making music, it was, yeah, me and a guitar. So naturally, like if the song was sad lyrically, the song was going to be sad sonically. But I think around like 2018, 2019, like when I started college, kind of, I started listening to more like Chelsea Cutler and Jeremy Zucker. And I think what they do is cool because it's, especially Chelsea, like her music is very sad lyrically, like content wise, but then it can be like a really upbeat, almost like an EDM song.
Mhm.
And I think that was the first time I really realized like, oh, I can make stuff that's fun, and still talk about stuff that's real to me. Also like in the beginning, all of my songs were about like relationships or like partners or heartbreak. And I think the more I matured, the more that I realized like, oh, I can write about myself and my own experience that's not tied to a romantic partner. I
Mhm.
also was in like a 4 year long relationship and everything was great. So I was like, I don't have romantic stuff to write about. I'm in a stable relationship. I have to find other things to write about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's when I wrote Sober, which is like talking about how I don't really like to drink. And in college, everyone around me was drinking, and it was like really weird.
Mhm.
Um, my song Bored about being like unemployed and like not really knowing what to do, like just moving to LA, like, and
Mhm.
then Armstrong just being about like daily life things and like kind of being like I'm happy and life is good, but also like these are the things I wish were different. Like I wish I lived closer to my mom. I wish I could be in both places at once.
Hmm.
that kind of thing. I think what you're saying, like, how do you know that a song that's like sad is gonna become this more upbeat, happy thing? I think it just happens naturally. Like either a song like Comfy, if you guys know that one, it's about like heartbreak and like queer identity kind of stuff, like being with someone that's not ready to be with you because they're like it's more comfortable for them to be in a like straight relationship and like maybe things could have worked out, but because it's a queer experience, like it's not going to because they're not ready.
She said you just got
That song is very upbeat, very fun sounding, but then it's about this sad experience.
Right.
That just kind of happened because I don't know. It's just like when I start producing something, I just kind of try stuff, and then whatever happens. Yeah, I think with that song, I started with like the drums that are very like kind of thing, and like I just kind of went with that, and I was like, oh, like I can make this fun even though it's sad. And then a song like Armstrong, I was like, this kind of just needs to be almost like a voice memo.
life's good, more the same. Wouldn't change much, feeling like fate. I've been liking my face, loving my clothes and pulling my weight.
And you kind of just try stuff and you figure stuff out. And I tend to lean in the direction of like, I want to make this fun even though it's sad, just because that's the kind of music that's fun for me to make. Like I want to have fun songs that people can like get lost in, but then also like when you actually listen to lyrics, it's like, oh, like it's a relatable thing. Like I don't want to make a fun, happy song that's about nothing. And a lot of times it's like it's hard to write about things that are good.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of naturally how it goes, I guess. It just depends on the song. In making music, there's so many different stages of decisions, and you can make like one decision and then the whole song ends up in a different place. And I think you just have to like gut instinct, just make quick decisions, and then if you end up somewhere you don't like, you figure it out and you change gears. But like because it's so overwhelming, this like amount of choice of like what you can do, you have to kind of like just go with what you feel, and then things kind of just naturally come together, I guess.
Yeah.
And what artists or songs like initially made you interested in making music?
Um, Growing up, I listened to a lot of classic rock because I did this thing called School of Rock. So I did that and I played drums and guitar there. And uh I grew up like playing a lot of those songs like Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, Beatles, like those types of bands. That was my focus for a long time was like playing drums, playing guitar, being an instrumentalist. I didn't really sing there and like people didn't really want me to sing there. I don't know. I hadn't really found like my voice. Like I wasn't really I kind of see it as like I sing so that I can make music. Like I don't see myself as like a singer. Like I know that I'm a talented singer, but I've had to work at it. And I think I really lean on like the musical aspects, the production, the guitar, the everything. I don't know if I can think of like a specific artist that made me want to make music, but I was always just like even when I was like 8, like just making up little songs. Like I remember like one year I was at summer camp and like I like gave this girl half my sandwich and then like she kind of like friendship ghosted me then later on in the camp. So I was like, I gave you my sandwich. Like it was like this song about like I just remember even then writing like
Yeah.
obviously the songs weren't good, but I was always writing songs. And even like in that same era, like I remember like being on like the swings at that camp and hearing Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis. But like ballads like that, I think always kind of spoke to me emotionally. I remember hearing that song and being like, what is this? Like the emotion in that song. I think that's kind of what speaks to me. Other stuff that my parents would play growing up, like there's a specific Bob Marley song called No Woman, No Cry. And there's like a live version of it that my dad always used to play on road trips and stuff, and just the emotion that comes through in that song, like just even in the chords of that song, like I think that that was the kind of thing that really inspired me to make music is like communicating through emotion in that way. And I don't even think it was a natural decision of like I want to make music. I think I always was just doing it, I guess, if that makes sense.
And now that you've been making music for a while, who are some artists or even like songs that have inspired your music?
Yeah, I try and listen to a lot of different things because I find that if I listen to only the kind of music that I make, then I
Oh.
will love it. Um, I feel like if I only listen to like indie pop, then I'm gonna make what sounds like what everyone else is making. So even when I was saying before, like that hyper pop kind of world, and then classic rock, and then more like singer-songwriter stuff, and then more like straight up pop music, it just like whatever interests me, and just like I like listening to stuff that's like weird and like makes me think and is different. There's stuff that I listen to for purely because I like listening to it. And then there's stuff I listen to that's like a different kind of thing where it's like listening to it to listen to all the different elements and hear what's actually happening. I would say in terms of like casual listening of stuff I just enjoy, typically leans more like pop music, usually like women artists, like Chappell Roan. I mean, insane. I think her whole thing is really cool and inspiring, just like sonically, just like such a specific world, but also just like her shows and the way they are, and her having like drag people, like having like drag queens open for her, and like really leaning into the drag persona herself and like that kind of stuff. Like that's really inspiring to me. I listen to a lot of like smaller, like indie artists, like female artists too. There's this girl, Annika Bennett, who I played drums for her on a tour, I think last summer. Her music's amazing, and I've been listening to that a lot lately. I don't know, my biggest fear as an artist is like being too similar to a different artist. So I try and avoid that by listening to a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And how would you say like the production process is different from producing by yourself and then working with other producers?
It's kind of this double-edged sword because when I'm doing something completely alone, I
Mm.
have full control over it. But there's also a lot of pressure in that
Mhm.
because um, when you're working with someone else, you can kind of like you kind of do like half the work because then the other person is there being like, let's try this, let's do this, and like actually physically doing half the work. But sometimes you don't always mesh with people and you don't always like what someone does, even if it's objectively good, it might not be what you want for the song. So I think it's been a process of me like finding the right people, and people that I feel comfortable expressing when I don't like something and they're not going to take it personally, which I think is hard. I think one of the hardest things about being an artist is like having to be really honest about that stuff and be like, actually don't love this direction. Even if, like I said, it's objectively good and the producer is amazing and doing a great job, like it might just not be right.
Mm.
Um, or it might just not feel like me. I think I just try and lean into like, does this feel like me? And I think that's always a good way to approach it because it's like, it's not that I don't like what you're doing or that I think it's bad. It's just not me. And I have to really stand behind every production element, every lyric. Like, I think writing with people is especially hard because, like, I have to feel like they're my words
Right.
to be able to sing them, and mean them. So, a lot of the time, I don't really write with other people. It has to be like the right people, the right day. Like, sometimes it can go really wrong. Writing with another person and producing with another person is just really vulnerable. Like you have to, when you're alone, you just do whatever. You don't have to think about like this person sitting next to me and like what if they think it's bad? What if they think this word doesn't make sense? What if they think this lyric doesn't make sense? Like what if I embarrass myself? Like there's no element of that when you're working alone. I mean, I could spend like 6, 7 hours producing music in my room alone and go a little crazy. So there's definitely pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I know you mentioned a couple smaller artists that you listen to. we're just kind of all about
Yeah,
smaller artists. If you
Mhm.
have any others, if not, that's okay.
yeah. There's this artist, Chloe Southern. She has this song called Blueprints. We're kind of like mutuals. I don't really know her and I don't really know how I know her, but we're somehow following each other. Um, I think she's also from New Jersey, but I could be wrong. The song is just really emotional, very moving. And just like the guitar tone is just insane. Like you guys should definitely listen to that song, Blueprints. And yeah, she doesn't have like a crazy amount of monthly listeners or like streams. It's one of those situations where you're like, why? Like this is so good and like why? And I think that happens a lot, unfortunately, but I really like her. Yeah, there's an artist called Buffchick who's actually from my hometown. She went to my high school. Her name's Erin. She makes kind of like Pine Grove-y, kind of like folky, indie pop music that's really cool. Very live sounding, like live drums, live guitar. Her voice is just insane. Like and when we were in high school together, we weren't ever really friends, but we become better friends now. But she would do like musicals and stuff, so her voice is like top tier. But I think she's one of those people that really translates her theater background to like indie pop music, folk music in a really cool way where it just works. Like same way like Chaperone, like
Right.
kind of theatery, but it just works and it doesn't sound overly theatery. I think she kind of does the same thing in a different way. Yeah, Buff Chick.
We will definitely check them all
Yeah,
out.
for sure.
Yeah,
And
they're all really good. I just their voices especially are just really good.
White car on a weekend with the top down, hanging with your new friends.
I've been making a lot of like visual content and like whatnot with my roommate. We've done a few like live versions of the songs that we filmed. Um, One is gonna be really cool because we did it in like the back of a car, and I'm
Mhm.
like sitting in the back seat, and she was in the front filming, and our friend was driving up this like hill, and that's gonna be really cool. And like we did the audio completely live. Like I had my laptop on like the on the floor, and I was like looping stuff and like singing and playing art in the back of it. Like there was no space for it, but we just made it work somehow. Really excited about that. We're in the middle of editing a music video
Nice.
for my song Cry Baby, which I'm really excited about. And there's just a lot of yeah, just a lot of really cool stuff that is going to be kind of tied in with it that I'm really excited about. The main song that I'm really excited about is this song called My Girlfriend's Mom, which is such a funny song. I don't know if you guys had a chance to listen to it, but that one's definitely my favorite on the project and I think has the most potential.
I like how you forced me into talking, told me I'm the problem. You were so much older than me.
It's very much like a reclaiming of a situation that was kind of shitty. Um, in high school, I had like a relationship with someone and their mom was like super homophobic and kind of like just ruined my life a little bit. Um, and just did not like the fact that we were dating, like sat me and my mom down and like at this like picnic table in our town that we lived in and like just like was like you're making my kid gay and you're doing this and you're doing that and like it was like okay, whoa. Um, and that was when I was like 17. I just like never really had I always wanted to write about that situation, but I never really like got to it or like felt ready to. Because it was like it's funny now, but it was like it was traumatizing. But yeah, it just I kind of like I stumbled into did a session with this girl Karissa, and I was like, yeah, I kind of want to write about this, and we did, and she helped me like she wrote half of the song, I wrote half of the song. We like did it together, which is pretty rare for me. So, and she really helped me like get the vibe across. And that's the song I was able to play drums on myself. My friend Alex helped me record drums for it in like this warehouse downtown in LA. And I did all the production, and it just feels very raw, feels very like me, and it just feels like finally being able to like scream in your bully's face and like respectfully, but like it feels like a reclaiming of the situation, which I think is really cool. And yeah, it's definitely my favorite and the one I'm gonna be like promoting the most heavily. So really excited about that.
We're excited for
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys reaching out and taking the time and like whenever you guys emailed me, I like went and looked at your profile and was like, oh my God, they're so cute and such a good vibe and I would love to do this. So I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
We
Of course.
like hearing a little bit more about you and your music.
Mm.
And I'll be looking at like what you guys are doing. I think it's like, yeah, I definitely want to go through your other interviews and check out some of those artists too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you.
for
For
talking with
coming.
us.
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Thank you so much, Superflirt, for chatting with us. Everyone, make sure you listen to his music and his new EP, Big Man,
And we'll see you on the next episode of
Lil Pop Stars
Podcast.
Podcast.